Today we're going to be talking about 7 ways you can enhance your Securonix SIEM. Using a lookup table can enrich your policy violations configured in your Securonix SIEM. Lookup tables can be created to contain various types of information, whether it be to provide malicious links or file names, or have them built to contain certain categories in your parsed data that you want to alert on. And those can be used to provide a location for any data that you need to reference in your Securonix SIEM. Lookup tables allow correlation in the alerts configured by allowing you to import files of data in CSV format and have them mapped to specific metadata fields in your log source.
Third-party intelligence is the best way to add context to the data that is coming into the SIEM. Intelligence that can be trusted. SIEMs come with open source threat feeds, but these become noisy and time-consuming. You need a threat feed that you can trust. When a violation goes off, you should not have to check if the threat intelligence contained in the violation policy is truly malicious. This should be taken care of when the threat feed is ingested. Third-party intelligence is important because it can give you a very quick insight into the traffic in your environment. This source of third-party intelligence can either strain your SIEM and security professionals or enhance them. So what can you do about it? You can validate the threat feeds coming into your SIEM, you can choose threat intelligence sources that you can count on, and you can choose a solution that automates the process of continuously feeding good intelligence into your SIEM.
Through the process of onboarding log sources, Securonix allows the end user to be able to further enrich the data being ingested into the SIEM. A few ways that Securonix allows you to do that is by creating derived fields, user attributes, and geolocation. Derived fields consist of creating new mapping or custom mapping of the metadata fields that are shown in the parsing and spotter. There are a ton of ways to configure derived fields in Securonix, but a few that have been proven to be beneficial to enhancing not only the log, but also the usability and visibility of that log source are using the derived fields to populate an if-then-else statement and regex matching. If-then-else statements, for example, can be used for the account name attribute. In the derived field, you can create an if-then-else function to state source name equals null or username equals null, then map to the account name attribute.
Testing violation policies is needed to validate that when a critical violation goes off, the SIEM will see it and trigger as you would need to. If the source is an API like O365 or G Suite, you'll need to perform the unwanted behavior with a test account. If it's a syslog source, such as a firewall, testing syslog can be inserted into the logging stream to test out violation policies. Violation policies can become very complicated with all of the enrichment and contextualization that is needed with each log source that is coming into the SIEM. Testing violation policies is very important because it's the only true way to know if the threat happens, will the SIEM see it the way we want it to. We can also run true purple team exercises while we validate the critical policies work as we expect them to. So what can you do about it? You can make sure that the team that is working in the SIEM has the capabilities and the tools to test out each different type of violation.
For regex matching, an example you could use would be for IP address matching. You can create a regex token function that states to use the IP address attribute shown in the parsing of the log, or to use a regex match to parse the IP into that IP address attribute. This allows the end user to have clear indication that the IP address field will be populated based on the parsing given in that regex match. User attributes massively increase the enrichment of your log source and is crucial for the UEBA functionality provided by Securonix. User attributes must be set up on the individual log sources that you are ingesting in Securonix. The user attributes allow the logs that are in Spotter and the UEBA violations to correlate and trigger on the users via AD sync. Once user activity via AD sync configuration is ingested into the platform, mapping the user's email address or username from AD to the username seen in the log source will provide AD correlation visibility on your log. This will give visibility in your log sources that contain users to correlate to the corresponding user in your AD. Geolocation is again another crucial part in the violation policies and visible behavior going on in your log sources. Geolocation on firewalls allow you to see where outgoing and incoming traffic are going to based on country and region. For mail logs, having geolocation set up will provide insight as to where successful or failed logins occur, where mailboxes have been modified, or where mail is being sent or received from. Enriching the log sources with geolocation allows the violation policies configured for land speed violations or rare activity from geolocation to trigger appropriately.
Another way to improve your security solution using Securonix is by leveraging the incident management system. When a security issue arises, you need to be able to track its progress from open to remediation to close. It's best to keep incidents close to the SIEM tools you're using. The incident manager is the best way to bring policy tracking as close as possible to the SIEM since it's built into the Securonix solution. Correct policies need to be set up to trigger violations, threats, and threat modelers into the incident manager for proper tracking of the ticketing system. Incident management is important because it provides the insight into the most important aspects of policies that are being triggered in your SIEM. It provides correct metrics to showcase the effectiveness of the SIEM. Mean time to detect, mean time to respond are some of those use cases. So what can you do about it? You can make sure the team that is working in the SIEM has the capabilities to create the use and function of the incident manager. And you can make sure the proper triggering flow of violations to incidents to team is correct in the SIEM.
An additional improvement that can be done to enhance your Securonix SIEM experience is to create watch lists. Watch lists can be created to provide insight into certain users or groups configured in your environment that you may want to have visibility into if they trigger any violations. These violations then would be brought up into the watchlist widget within the Security Command Center in Securonix. A few watch lists that can improve your SIEM are via users. Creating a watch list with specific domain admin accounts can alert you to any violations that are triggered for the specific users contained in this list. Or say you have terminated some employees and you want to make sure that after they have left, that there is no longer any activity associated with their accounts. Creating a terminated users watch list that contains the users that left will help identify if any violation is then triggered by that user's activity once they are no longer active. Whitelisting can be beneficial to your team when configuring violation and threat policies. Whitelists can be created to help reduce the alarm fatigue by adding whitelists to your violation policies when applicable. In Securonix, there are multiple ways to configure whitelists depending on the need. Though there are some reasons to not use whitelists, there are a few specific reasons why whitelisting would be an acceptable solution to help eliminate violation fatigue. Whitelisting known IPs that are causing an abundance of alerts but are known to be used internally and should not be alarmed on can help mitigate the strain of alerts that get generated if that IP is not a malicious IP but still causing alerts to be triggered. By creating a known IP whitelist, you can add the known activity to it, which then eliminates that violation from continuing to alert based on it. Creating whitelists can also be used for user activity. User activity like known IP activity can cause quite the amount of false positives in your incident manager. Creating a whitelist for specific users and associated activity can further enhance the effectiveness of the violation being seen, as this will help reduce the false positives.